Chapter 12. The Nocturnal Battle. The Kauravas, including Duryodhan and Karna, dropped their weapons and cheered at the war horns. It meant that with Arjun unable to fulfill his vow, he would self-immolate, exactly as Drona had planned. The biggest thorn in their way would be removed without them having to perform the insurmountable task of killing him in battle. The Sindhu soldiers lowered their large shields, and Jaydrath, standing triumphant on his chariot, was visible to Arjun. He looked at the west, and then at Arjun with a gleeful look in his eyes. Then he looked at the west again with the satisfaction of relief that he would live. Krishna glanced at Arjun and they exchanged a smile, whereafter Arjun with lightning speed took up a crescent-headed arrow and knocked it on his bow, before releasing it at Jaydrath. The arrow plunged clean through the flesh of Jaydrath's neck, and his head, splattering blood, flew out of sight like a game ball. As the Sindhu king's headless body dropped down on his chariot, the Kauravas were completely confused as to how Arjun can attack after sundown. As if to explain to them, Krishna then took up his conch and made a special and distinct pattern of noise by blowing into it loudly. The line of elephants stationed idle near the Pandav camp on the west now scattered at the orders of their mahouts and revealed the solar disk behind them, still a little less than half above the horizon. This is what Krishna's plan was all along, to keep the elephants with high opaque banners along the western horizon to block the view of the sun during the last few minutes of daytime. The Kaurav sun watchers' view of the sun would be blocked, and hearing the premature war horns from the Pandav side, they would assume the sun has set and would blow their own. This small buffer time between the supposed and real sunset was enough to make the Kauravas and Jaydrath assume themselves victorious and let down their guard, making it easy for Arjun to accomplish his vow. The Pandav army, who witnessed this, rejoiced loudly now and hailed Arjun. Realizing how they had been fooled, Duryodhan, Karna and their companions took up their weapons again and started showering arrows on Arjun, which he blocked, while Krishna moved the chariot to a safer distance. Karna advanced towards Arjun, trying to intercept him, and shot his arrows, which the Pandav hero blocked and returned the favor. Ducking under his shield, Karna shouted to his foe, "I have already defeated your boastful son and your glutton brother, and now I will defeat you." Trembling in rage and blocking Karna's next few arrows, Arjun said, knocking his next shaft on his bow, "Why don't you pick someone your own size? In my absence you helped to kill my son 6 against 1. I promise, Karna, I too will kill your blood, but in front of your eyes." The sun now actually set, and the warriors blew their conch shells to declare the end of day's battle. The army disengaged slowly, and Krishna, with Arjun in tow, came to the severely wounded, but still standing Yudhishthir to give him the news of Jaydrath's death. Meanwhile Drona returned to his commanders and learnt of what transpired, foiling all his plans. "You have been reluctant to stop Arjun," Duryodhan accused Drona, taking off his heavy headgear, "because he was your disciple. And as a result he killed Jaydrath before my eyes. So many of our greatest warriors fell today, my brothers, Burisrava." "Duryodhan," Karna stepped in, "I'm pretty sure the preceptor is doing everything in his power." At this moment, a loud chorus and war cry rose from the Pandav side, and they fell into formation once more. Triumph, when it is fresh, boosts the morale of any army and keeps it strong, whence they can even accomplish feats otherwise impossible. Generalissimo Drishtadyumna knew it well, and he rallied his forces to continue the battle, even after sunset, in spite of the fact that this was against rules. "The Pandavs come for us again," Drona said ragefully, staring at the army moving slowly towards them in the dusk. "They break all the rules of war today. I promise that without killing all the Panchals I would not put off my armor." After 14 days of battle, the Kaurav army had been reduced to only 4 corps, but was still larger than the Pandavs. They quickly arrayed themselves, as best as possible, in the fading golden light, and the two armies met again. Owing to the increasing darkness, this was a battle of confusion, and it was hard to distinguish friends from foe. Duryodhan was easily able to penetrate the Pandav line, and he came face to face with Yudhishthir. The two kings, fighting for the same throne, shot their arrows at each other. Drona too appeared in that place, proceeding to capture Yudhishthir, but the Panchals led by Shikundi blocked Drun and exchanged arrows with him and his archer companions. The remaining elephantry of the Kauravas attacked on the Pandavas and were countered by the Pandav elephantry, which have now been called forth from their position at the horizon. Bhim plunged with his vehicle into the midst of the Kaurav brothers, killing all of those cousins of his who he confronted. Sometimes he used arrows, sometimes his mace, and sometimes with nothing more than his punch and kicks, he killed them. To stop the massacre, Karna hurled a spear at Bhim, which he sensed in time, hearing its whistling through the air. Catching it in midair, Bhim threw it back at Karna, slashing his arm in the process. Meanwhile, the wrath of Drun fell on the Panchal forces, and he used his arrows to kill them off one after the other. Drun used special arrows, like the one that scattered sharp darts when shot in the air and maimed almost everyone standing below. He also used poison-tipped arrows, which killed the enemy, even when the arrow simply scratched their skin. On the other side, Arjun was engaged with Shakuni, while Ghatotkach fought with Ashwatthama, and the two inflicted arrow wounds on each other. In absence of a proper view of the shots, they used their shields in anticipation after hearing the twang of the opponent's bow. The soldiers with Ashwatthama fought with the cannibals of Ghatotkach's tribe, who used their claws and teeth more than their weapons. Ashwatthama used fire arrows to set fire to Ghatotkach's chariot, out of which the half-cannibal had to jump. Using his arrows, Ashwatthama also started felling the elephants of Pandav army. The Pandavas split a part of their army, and with Arjun and Bhim, each leading one half, attacked the Kauravas led by Drun from the two flanks. "I will tonight kill Arjun," Karna said, shooting arrows at the soldiers trying to break their formation. "Duryodhan, without any thorn by his side, will be proclaimed the emperor." "Your empty boastfulness won't help us win the war," Kripa said, trying to instigate Karna against the enemy. "Look at Arjun, he is a high-born accomplisher, not a preacher, and he is resourceful and learned in the ways of battle. How do you of mixed caste expect to kill him?" "I will," Karna said. "And what do you know about battle being a priest by caste? Try to preach me on battling again, and I will cut off your tongue." "How dare you?" Ashwatthama, who was within earshot, dropped his battle and climbing down from his chariot came running at Karna, unsheathing his sword. "You speak that way to my uncle." Karna lifted his sword too, but Duryodhan, having disengaged from his former battle, came between them and said, "Enough, both of you. Forgive and forget, please. We are not fighting each other. Look there at the Pandav troops. That's who we fight." Unwillingly dropping the fight, Karna proceeded to engage Arjun, while Ashwatthama resumed his arrowy shower against the remaining Pandavas. Now it was completely dark and makeshift fire torches were used to illuminate the army. 4 were clamped to the sides of each chariot, 3 on each elephant mount and 1 on every cavalry horse, while 1 was carried in the left hand of each foot soldier. But even in that light, not everything was properly visible, and often the warriors missed and also wrongly concluded their foe to be dead. Vrishsan was engaged with King Drupad now, and Dushasan with Pratavindya. Distracted from Drun, for a moment by Drumsan, Drishtadyumna went for that son of Dushasan, and without much effort, using crescent-tipped arrow, decapitated the final killer of Abhimanyu. Using arrows laden with Indian Greek fire, Karna, determined to prove Kripa wrong, aimed for the torches of Arjun and his battalion, causing small explosions that burnt and killed warriors nearby. Arjun and Krishna were safe only because their chariot was resistant to the special fire. "Get me closer to him," Arjun ordered Krishna, who replied, "Do not waste your strength on the enemy now, it will be useful later." The Krishna glanced around briefly and then shouted out, "Ghatotkach!" The shaved-headed, tattoo-covered half-cannibal was within earshot, and he quickly came towards them on foot, while blocking a few arrows with his shield and inquiring, "Yes, Madhav." "The time has come to show your true prowess like you always wanted," Krishna said. "Show the enemy what you and your tribe can do in the darkness. Make your parents proud, but do not forget protection. Put on 2 armors, one atop the other, and 2 chain mails in similar fashion. You are the only one strong enough to move effortlessly with double weight. Satyaki will cover your back." Ghatotkach complied without question, and then rallied his remaining tribe of cannibals into an emergency group meeting amidst the battle. And then they scattered. Arjun kept shooting arrows at Karna ineffectively from a safe distance, while Karna scattered his troops. Then suddenly a foul smell filled the area, and all the fires on all vehicle and torches sizzled and went out. The warriors momentarily froze, unable to understand what just happened, as a large portion of the battlefield was plunged into darkness. Then the Kaurav foot soldiers started dropping off one by one, yelling in pain. Ghatotkach and his tribes of cannibals had lived long enough in the forest to see better and further than others during the night. They used special aerosol herb extracts to put out fire whenever they attacked any traveler's camp for human flesh, and they used blow darts to hunt. Now they were using the same technique against the Kaurav army, something for which the enemy had no answer. The darkness aided the cannibals to move in and out of the army, killing any that they found within their grasp, and the archers tried to take aim at the moving silhouettes, but inflicted their own people in the process. Then Karna lit a fire arrow laden with Indian Greek fire and set a broken chariot to flames. The fire there shook and sizzled, but did not go out, as even the cannibals' powder in the air had no effect on this special fire. In its illumination, Karna and Ashwatthama together started spotting the cannibals and aiming their arrows. The tribesmen started dropping one after the other. Meanwhile, a severed head of a warrior on Kaurav's side from the Rakshas clan was thrown into the chariot of Duryodhan, shocking him to the bones. He glanced around and found Ghatotkach in black-painted, double armor grinning at him. Duryodhan took aim with his bow and released. The arrows snapped like twigs against his armor, and Ghatotkach disappeared behind a line of soldiers, laughing. In the next minute, an elephant of the Kaurav army trumpeted and started acting strangely. The warrior atop it fell down limp as Ghatotkach's large muscular figure appeared on the mount. He drove small daggers into the flesh of the elephant's neck and made the creature trumpet louder in pain. Then, using the pain to control the ride, Ghatotkach made the elephant turn and break into the Kaurav troops, crushing the riders and foot soldiers under its feet. Archers in the remaining elephantry leveled their aim at Ghatotkach, but their arrows only hit him dully, something which a strong man like him could take easily. He made his elephant ram into the Kaurav elephants and knocked them down, killing more men under them. "Stop him!" Duryodhan shouted as he saw the huge elephant with bloodshot eyes coming towards Karna. Dushasan and Ashwatthama rained arrows on the animal, but the Kaurav armor was only too well. And all this while, the Pandavs' warriors did not sit still, as they too continued their attack in the dark, scattering the Kaurav array from all sides. Before Dran's eyes his soldiers ran, and his array broke like house of cards. He shouted to rally them, while himself shooting arrows at the incoming enemy. Meanwhile, Karna targeted the exposed parts of Ghatotkach, piercing his arms and parts of his legs, but the cannibal seemed oblivious to the pain. Instead, Ghatotkach used his bow and his blow darts too to rain down shafts and darts on his enemies below. The elephant rampaged and kicked away horses and chariots with riders on them. The soldiers and cavalry ran from the rogue elephant in fear of their life. "This cannibal will crush us all," Duryodhan said loudly to Karna, while his charioteer bore him away from the incoming mammoth. "Use your infallible arrow, Karna, it is the only way." Karna had the special arrow with him in his very chariot, but it had been completely out of his mind, while he was more concerned about saving Jaidrath and then avenging him. But it was reserved for Arjun, his only sure-shot chance of killing Arjun in a face-to-face combat. But then he saw the scattered troops of his own side, a sight never before seen. As if reading his mind, his friend added from the distance, while retreating, "We will get the chance to kill Arjun only if we live tonight. Kill that beast and save us, Karna." Unwillingly, Karna took up Vijay, his largest and strongest bow, which he placed on a mount in front of his chariot, and then knocked the fat arrow in it. He then angled the bow up properly and took aim at the rider on the incoming rogue beast. Ghatotkach's double armor was impenetrable to the strongest arrow, but not to this one. He used a fire arrow to light the middle section of the infallible shaft, and it sparked like a firecracker. Then, pulling back the string to full draw, Karna released it with an ear-splitting twang. The smoking arrow, boosted by the sparks trailing out in its wake, grazed the armor on the elephant's head, cracking it and spilling blood, before it broke through the two-layered coat of mail of Ghatotkach, and he was thrown off the ride to the gore-filled ground behind. The elephant gave one last trumpet and then fell to its knees, before rolling sideways and crushing some more of the fleeing Korav soldiers. "No," Bim cried from a distance, as he witnessed his son fall from the high point. Down on the ground and writhing in pain, Ghatotkach realized that the huge arrow had not hit his heart, but only the flesh around it. He would live if taken to the healers quickly. The Korav soldiers now turned back and ran towards their fallen enemy with spears and swords. Before Karna could warn them, they came very close to Ghatotkach, right when the arrow in his heart exploded, sending those soldiers flying away, burnt and maimed. Ghatotkach's flesh, organs and entrails scattered around like rain. Bim collapsed wordlessly on his chariot as he saw his son blown to bits. His brothers were stupefied as well, while the collective emotion of the army changed from triumph to sorrow within a minute. Only Krishna, with a smile of relief on his face, hugged Arjun on the chariot. "What's this for?" Arjun asked, annoyed with his brother-in-law's inappropriate behavior. Krishna replied, "Imagine that arrow hitting you, Arjun. My spies had told me that Karna had a singular such arrow, about which he boasted aloud. I feared for your life, Arjun, and hence kept you away from him as much as possible. But now you are safe. Ghatotkach saved you." "Yes, Madhav," Arjun said morosely. "My nephew died to save me."
To be continued. Stay tuned for the next chapter.